control the vertigo.
Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Anthologic is a podcast dedicated to exploring the good, the bad, and the odd of horror, science fiction, and the best of mystery suspense anthology shows and series on TV. Join me as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. And now we go on to the show that is the focus of this particular episode. Welcome to this episode of Anthology with your host Mark. Today we're covering an anthology series for youngsters, actually. This was called Are You Afraid of the Dark? It was a Canadian sort of anthology series, mostly horror, but sort of thrilling tales kind of thing. And it was it works under the premise that teenagers, kids, sit around a campfire and they have to tell a tale. And to join the club, you have to tell a tale scary or thrilling enough that everyone unanimously accepts that you're a new member. That's the premise. Now, interesting one. This it was not one I'd heard of before sort of starting this podcast. And it ran for some time. It ran over initially 7 seasons. Each season had 13 episodes, I think. So I think that's 91 episodes. And then there was a revival in 2019 for 2 more series. There was a series called Carnival of Doom, which ran for 3 episodes, and another one called Curse of the Shadows, ran for 6. Now, the original run was 1992. Till 2000, and the original, which aired on Nickelodeon and something called YTV, was for the first 5 seasons, so from 1992 to 1996, and then there was 2 that were just on Nickelodeon and the Family Channel, which season 6 and 7, 1999, so there was a bit of a break until 2000, and then finally the sort of revival, 2019-2020 revival, that ran over 2019 and 2021. How about that? So, this first one we're talking about is called The Tale of the Phantom Cab. It was directed by Ron Oliver, written by Chloe Brown, and first aired on August the 15th, 1992. Simple premise, and I could get into the story a little, but essentially this wasn't the best kind of show. It wasn't particularly thrilling. It was fairly obviously for children. It was reasonably well directed, but the acting and the story weren't great, frankly. But it was kind of interesting. It's not something that I'll be pursuing, but I'll offer it up here. So essentially, it starts with a campfire. The various members of this club which is called the Midnight Society, and they sitting around and are gonna hear a story from a prospective new member and then vote on it. But the leader does explain that they're all very different and they like different things. They go to different schools, they have different friends, but what they do want is to sort of be in the dark and listen to, and tell stories. So they go around this campfire and tell their stories. So a prospective new member comes forward. His name's David, and he starts to tell a story. So essentially, David is a member of him, but they introduce a new member who's called Frank. Frank's a bit gazoo because he's been blindfolded, and some of the members of the society explain they want to keep the campsite secret. They don't want anyone to know about it. That's why he's blindfolded. Anyway, So, to tell this story, he begins. It's called The Tale of the Phantom Cab. It starts with two brothers, Denny and Buzz. Denny's the older brother, Buzz is the younger. They're kind of... Denny's an older teen, he's closer to sort of 17 than 13, whereas Buzz is significantly younger. Buzz is a bit of a geek, but he kind of looks up to his brother, who sort of, has banter with him about stuff, and they're out walking and they go on a hike, but they kind of get lost. They don't know what they're doing. So it's down to, I think, Buzz, because he made a mistake plotting the course. So they're out and about, they're wandering the woods. Essentially, someone turns up and suggests they goes and sees this professor, or this this guy in a house. It's doctor, sorry. So it's getting dark, it's getting cold, they're getting frightened. But this strange guy kind of guides them to this house, and they kind of arguing, and kind of the older one chasing the younger one, because he's angry and stuff like that. And a guy finds them. I think he's a forest ranger, but it's not. It's a guy called Flynn, who just says he's a traveller who knows the woods, and he says he can take them somewhere. It's all a bit suspicious, but they're lost. What else can they do, really? But they're a little nervous. They get to this cottage, but just as he goes, Flynn says, "Don't ask for any help unless you really need it. The price he charges can be really high." That's the kind of warning. And then Flynn just the brothers talk to each other, look round, and Flynn's gone. And so, there is that. Now, when they get in, they meet this doctor, Dr. Vink, who says he experiments on dead animals, collects specimens, and he loves riddles. They start a riddle competition. So his first riddle is, how far can you go in the woods? Buzz has the correct answer, which is halfway, right? Halfway. So he explains himself. So he gets another riddle, which stumps them a little. He says, "What's weightless?" Oh, and the thing is, if they answer the riddle, the second one, he'll help them, right? "What's weightless can be seen by the naked eye, but if you put it in a barrel, we'll make it lighter." They can't figure it out, so he forces them to leave and tells them a cab will soon arrive. There's another way he'll let them use the phone, but they have to offer him a specimen. And when they say, "What are you talking about?" he shows them a preserved hand, a human hand. So they kind of run out screaming. Then there's an interruption there. We get drawn back to the little gathering where it says, when they're complaining that you can't tell a story without a riddle without it being solved, and this. Be patient, it's all that. They go back to the story. I guess that's the ad break, is my guess. So the boys are in the woods, and they finally find a cab, and they jump in. They say, "Can you take us home? Our parents are powerless." Then it turns out it's Flynn, and he says, he doesn't look well. He looks kind of pale and weird. And he mentions he has met Dr. Vink before, 40 years before. He's been wandering the woods for 40 years. And then suddenly he reveals he's got a missing hand. So there we go. And then Flynn mentions that when he finally left the cottage, he said he had a nasty accident and he crashed into a tree. And he turns around, looks at the boys and says, "You might say I sort of died." Ha ha! He starts laughing. So he's the living dead. So now the cab is driving faster and faster, and basically, if they can't solve the riddle, it's going to crash the car, and they'll also become like him. And as they're driving, Buzz sort of finally comes up with a solution. He says, "It's a hole. You put a hole in the barrel to make it lighter," and then they're all fine, and everything's resolved. Yeah, it's okay. This is okay. And also it ends with the new recruit being accepted as a member of the society. So there we go. That's the and I believe in this, each of the characters tells a story. So we will see a sort of the same people telling stories as we go on, is from what I understand. But as I say, it wasn't great. What I will say is you can actually see this on YouTube, and there's a whole set of them. I don't know if it's the full, every single episode available, but certainly this one, The Tale of the Phantom Cat, is available, and several others. And it looks like the stories are generally called The Tale of something or other. That's kind of how it was. Wasn't great. Directed okay, added a bit of tension, did some Dutch angles, had some spooky music, spooky, smoky effects, that kind of thing. The lab was kind of, mad scientist lab, so that was fine in the cottage. But, this isn't one I'll be revisiting again. So, yeah, that's it for me. But, before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there?
We now return control of your television set to you until next week at this same time, when the control voice will take you to